but I'm not taking up time in my lecture so I can get done. Okay, sweating. Individuals with amputation sweat more. Okay, we're all trying to regulate our body temperature to 98.6, but they have lost points of heat where we eliminate heat from our body. They have lost skin that breathes, and we put a bunch of hot material on. Sweating is an issue. It is one of the biggest issues that cause skin breakdown. Okay, so it needs to be addressed to stop sweating. Once they get, like I said, more than 4 hours twice a day, they actually need to start drying it in the middle of the wear time. Then when I get them up to wearing it pretty much all their awake hours, I have them dry it 3 times a day. And then when it's not wet, and they're like, Robin, why am I drying this so often? I back it to twice a day. I back it to once a day, and then it's as needed. The as needed is you teach them the signs of sweating, which I'm going to go over here, and they basically tell them if any of these signs are present that they need to dry it for the rest of their life. I've had somebody go to the yard, went in to grab a beer, and a friend called him for a car problem, took off and never dried his leg, and ended up with a blister that caused tendon.
His knee?
I've had his knee.
Sheesh.
I had an individual who, she had a baloney on one side, was very successful on it. Unfortunately, with her dialysis and everything else, ended up with an above knee on the other side several years later. While she was under care for me, she went to her nephew's football game at Wingate and wore the below knee but not the above knee. But she'd been wearing the below knee all day. Nobody thought much of it. She didn't take it off, and she sat in it, and the entire distal residual limb was a blister. She couldn't wear either prosthesis because that blister was too large for us to put the prosthesis back on until it healed. So she was out of rehab because she'd have a leg on the other side to stand on until she could heal the blister, which took a while with her dialysis to heal. All because she didn't dry the sweat at the football game. So, the 4 signs of sweating that they need to know about, that they need to dry it for the rest of their life. Number 1, if they are sweating. If I have sweat running wherever it runs on me, okay, that leg is sweating and that liner will not breathe and let it dry up. So they need to take it off, pat their skin dry, pat the liner dry, put it right back on and go about their business. You don't want them to leave the liner off and cool their leg off, especially when they're getting used to it, because cooling their leg off, they don't accommodate to getting used to the heat and they keep sweating profusely. The more they accommodate, they stop sweating so profusely. Okay? So if they're sweating, it needs to be dry. Number 2, they need to pay attention to how high the liner comes up on their leg when they first put it on. Use their hand as a measuring tool to see how high it comes up above the knee, how many fingers, whatever. But have some kind of measurement tool that's with them besides a ruler. It could be my hand this way, my hand this way. It could be anything. It could be how high it comes up into my groin if I'm an above knee. But realize how high the liner comes up. And when you're in the back room, take a peek at your liner. If it's slid down, you're sweating, and it does. When it loses its full grip, it starts to milk down by the weight of the prosthesis. And swing, when the prosthesis is not supported, it puts a little pressure on it, and with time, if the rubber's not grabbing because of the sweat, it starts to slide. So if the liner has slid down, that's the second sign. Take it off dry and put it back on. The third sign is that they feel air bubbles. If the liner slides some, it lets air in the bottom. And when they put weight on it, it's burping it. And they will feel that air being compressed up out of the liner. Okay? So if they feel air bubbles, they need to stop, take the leg off dry, put it back on, and go about your business. Last but not least, is that they feel bugs crawling in their leg. When sweat runs in the closed system, for some reason it feels more like something's crawling or moving in there, and then it doesn't feel the same as sweat running down your face. Apparently in the closed system, you don't know how many patients I've said that, and they go, thank God, I couldn't figure out what was in there, and I never could find anything. Okay? But it really apparently does feel like something's crawling or moving in there. And I tell them, jokingly, I say, 99% of the time it's going to be sweat, that 1% could be that ant. if you've been on the ground at the picnic. I won't swear that an ant didn't get up in there, but most of the time it's going to be sweat. And they always laugh and go, at least I know what it is now, Robin. But there you go. Okay? Wounds. You can actually wear prosthesis with some wounds under care. The first thing you got to know is it can be draining. Because if it's draining, that water or fluid, liquid, blood, whatever it is, will cause an erosion of the edges of the wound and make the wound continue to get bigger. So you can't wear prosthesis with draining wounds. But if you have a wound that is not draining, you can actually wear Tegaderm, which is a thin dressing that looks like saran wrap, but it breathes. Okay, and it's sticky on one side. You don't want anything that has thickness. If you put Duoderm or a Band-Aid or anything inside the socket area, okay, you actually increase the pressure. It's like gluing one of the pads. You've seen pads over there that they glue pads in to put pressure when they start to shrink. If you put something with thickness, you just glue a pad at that spot where you want to reduce pressure. You actually just put something in the prosthesis that increases pressure by the thickness. So anything you put in there like that has to be so thin that you wouldn't increase pressure to that point. And the only thing right now on the market that we know of is Tegaderm. Okay? It's good. Technically, Tegaderm will tell you reading the directions. It can stay on 5 days. It won't stay because they sweat. What I tell most of my patients is if they have a wound is that we put it on in the morning before you put the prosthesis on. If we're wearing it twice a day, we remove it with the second wear when we're done for the day. So I put it on in the morning, I leave it on for both wears and the shrinker in between. And when I remove the prosthesis after my second wear, I remove the Tegaderm, clean the wound properly, and then put gauze over it. I don't put the tape on the gauze directly over the wound because I needed to get some air, because going from that wet to that dry environment helps it to heal a little bit better than staying wet the whole time. So they take gauze or something onto the residual limb, put the shrinker over it, and go to bed or whatever they're going to do for the rest of the day. Okay? So, but you want to slow down the wear. It is imperative with these wounds, even if you're using Tegaderm, that you are a week or more with any increases and that you're making sure the wound is getting smaller. I've had individuals that have had wounds from months that they were trying to heal. They finally got down to a reasonable size that we can try to use the prosthesis. If we put Tegaderm on within a month, actually weighting and unweighting a prosthesis draws blood from the residual limb, and they have healed that wound. They have spent a year trying to heal it to get to me. And finally put a prosthesis on them, and with the Tegaderm and monitoring their weight bearing. I don't take them off walkers because I don't want full weight bearing with a wound, but I get them up on a walker with limited wear with the Tegaderm protection, and they're able to heal it. You never use a ointment or anything without doctor's orders. If a doctor has an ointment that they're putting on the wound for care, I recommend that they use a Q-tip and only put it on the bed of the wound. And don't put a large quantity, the Tegaderm won't stick. It will go out to where the adhesive of the Tegaderm is and it won't stick. So if they do a Q-tip just to the wound bed and then put it over, but only use ointments under doctor's orders. We're not doing it. We don't recommend that they use triple antibiotics or any of that stuff without a doctor's order. Tegaderm is nothing but a protective environment. You can use Tegaderm without doctor's order because it's like putting a Band-Aid on. There's no medicine, there's no chemical to it. It is a straight dressing. Okay? Adjusting fly socks. What adjusted flying socks is about is keeping you the right depth in the socket. When they shrink, they need to add socks. They generally get what's called 1, 2, and 3 and 5 ply socks. Okay? Depending on the manufacturer by the color system. You really, and I'm not going to go into the color system because literally there are 3 or 4 manufacturers of socks and it depends on the prosthetic company's manufacturer they use. figure out the number system of what a 1 ply, what a 3, and what a 5 is with the companies that you work with to make sure the patients understand which sock is which. Basically, a 3 ply should equal the thickness of 3 ones put together, but you're going to put 1 sock on. A 5 ply is 5 number ones put together, same thickness to it, okay? What you're looking for is even pressure with standing and walking, okay? So it is more about where they're taking pressure when they're standing and walking. And so what I do a lot of times these days is I teach my patients by what I call the Goldilocks approach. Too few, too many, just right, like Porch and Goldilocks, okay? I actually teach them that how easy it goes on, how many clicks you get in sitting, or guidelines. They're guides. If your leg slides in there like it's been greased and the clicks go off like a machine gun, should be a red flag that you need to think about socks. But that's not the true indicator, but they're big red flag signs to think about, okay? How deep your patella is near the patella tendon bar is a good sign for us. Also, and I teach them to kind of look where their patella is, but the true marker is what it feels like. So I will have someone, let's say, put on 0 or 1 ply sock, take your walker, and I want you to walk out there to that mark. It's like 15, 20 feet away, and come back and sit down. And I want, while you're walking, your goal is to feel where you're taking pressure. You don't have to tell me and talk out loud, but feel where the pressure is on your leg when you're walking with just this number of socks on. They do that. They come back. I intentionally put too many on. A lot of times when there's too few, the pressure is going to be on the very bottom or on their kneecap because the patella tendon bar is too high and it's hitting their patella. Okay? So they'll feel it like an arthritic pain. Then I come back and put too many socks on. And they look, man, can hardly get a click. Yeah, it's hard to get on. You almost feel like you got to jump on this thing to get it on. Okay? And you're way up out of it. They also, when it's too short, the lip prosthesis feels too short when you're walking. Too few socks feels like they're too short. Too many and it's going to feel too tall because you're not up out of it. So when they walk, I say, where do you feel pressure now? Again, I'm not asking them to tell me. Typically, it feels like it's more coming from the sides, like a vice. Okay? Then they sit down and I put the right number of socks on and I say, now walk. And they go, God, this feels so much better. That's what I want you to hear. I don't want them to leave there saying, you're supposed to live 3 5. That changes. They need to know what it feels like when it's wrong. Okay? If they only know how many socks you tell them to put on, they're not going to adjust it themselves. They need to know. And they need to know that when they're first using these legs, it's not uncommon that they'll get up in the morning with a certain number and have to add 1 or 2. And tomorrow morning they may be back where they were yesterday. They may, if, let's say I started at a 3 ply this morning, and after I'm up a little bit, I have to go to a 5 ply sock instead. Tomorrow morning I might be back at a 3 again. It's not uncommon that after you, the shrinker sock holds fluid out, but not enough to fully hold it out, which is part of a good sign that you need to be still wearing that shrinker sock at night. All right. Weight bearing. You want to be very cautious about watching during your evaluation and during your treatment sessions of how long they're standing up. If they have to sit down after 5 minutes of standing, that doesn't mean I'm done. I can actually start to educate them on things while they're resting and go on. But you don't want them standing at home for longer periods than they're tolerating standing in the clinic. Okay? So you want to monitor how long they're up on it. You want to monitor also your assistive devices. If I'm walking with an intelligent gait with a walker taking a lot of weight on it, do you think that's the patient I should put on a cane right now? No. Part of it is that pressure tolerance. And realize that this patient that gets this new toy, it's not uncommon that they might end up trying to do a lot and then their leg hurts because I say jump in the deep end of the pool. Okay, as soon as they got help, they need to actually work up to how long and how much pressure by reducing the arm support. Realize that a walker gives you more arm support than crutches. A regular rolling walker is more supportive than a rollator. So a rollator is one way of changing it, and you gotta know what devices you've already owned. So you can play with it, especially if they own several or their grandmother have a rollator they can get. But rolling walker, rollator is less support. Crutches, a 3-point pressure or 3-point gait pattern takes more weight off the prosthesis than a 4-point or reciprocal gait pattern with the crutches. If I want to increase the weight of the crutches but not take away the one single hand support yet, I might go to a 4-point or reciprocal gait pattern that they can handle. Okay? Then go to canes. I typically don't do a lot of quad canes unless there's a patient that has one and is really adamant. I believe with canes that part of your balance is fluency of the gait. And quad canes start off with fluency enough and can affect gait. Okay? So I don't typically I won't, but I typically don't use a lot of quad canes. I use more of single point canes. And there's a rubber quad tip that gives you a little that you can buy at Walmart for $9 and change. And patients go all the time and buy it. It's in the pharmacy section by the canes and walkers. And this little rubber tip fits almost any cane. It allows the cane to be freestanding and gives you a little more support and stability to it, but not quite to the choppiness of a quad cane with cane.
The hurricane.
No. I hate that thing.
I like the commercial where the old lady goes like this.
That's exactly why I hate it. The one is it folds. In patients, it will twist. Because it folds, you can twist between the compartments. And so a patient will have it on the ground and they go to lose their balance and it twists. And doesn't give them the support they need because of the twist action.
Gotcha.
So no.
Okay.
Don't take that thing. Don't get it going on that thing. K-codes. We've already heard K-codes. Everybody knows K-codes, right? Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're going to use it for getting up their activity levels. These patients have been sitting around. They are deconditioned. They are out of shape. They can't go along. Okay? So I start them with this. Okay? But obviously before I go to each new activity level, I make sure they're safe at whatever it is. Okay? The first one is when you're in the house, I want you to walk. If you need to go to the, I don't want you to walk, just practice walking. I want you to take that walker and I want you to walk to the bathroom. You need to go to the bathroom. I want you to walk to the kitchen to get a drink instead of sending your wife. I want you to walk in the house. During any time the prosthesis is on, you are to walk. And the other thing is, I don't want you sitting in the wheelchair. When the prosthesis is on, I want you to sit on normal household furniture. And I make sure they can get up off the kitchen chair or whatever it is. Okay? So the reason for that is if you're sitting in the recliner and want something to drink, your greater likelihood is to walk than to jump in the chair to roll. If you're sitting in the chair, I got a 50-50 at best chance that you're going to walk to do it. So I want you out of that wheelchair in the house when the leg is on. Okay? Literally, it is no longer a piece of your household furniture. It wasn't before this amputation, and it's not part of your household furniture now. Get out of the chair. Okay? Second thing I do is I start to make sure they can enter and exit their own home. So, if you're leaving to go somewhere, I'm not telling you to do it just to do it. But if you're going out, I want you to walk from the house out to the car. When you get home, I want you to walk back into the house. I don't want you to roll with the wheelchair. But obviously, again, I've made sure they can do the ramp, the stairs, whatever it is to get in and out of their home at this point. Then I start to initiate going out. So, you're going to church tonight, okay? I want you to get out of the car. I want your husband to get the wheelchair out, okay? And you start walking with the walker towards the church. He's bringing the wheelchair along. If we need supervision, I flip the wheelchair around so I'm pulling it behind me so the wheelchair is not between me and my spouse or whoever I'm helping walk. My child, my parent, okay? And I just pull, if I'm doing supervision or contact guard, I'm pulling the chair behind me and I have them walk. And I tell them, the patient is to say when they need to stop. So if you get halfway into the church, That's better than none, right? So tell them when you're tired. In no fair with you saying, you went further last time, go. It could be how they slept, what they've already done today. If she says enough is enough, give her the chair. Okay? Turn it around, push her into the building. When she's ready to leave, go back out to the car, she's to start walking towards the car. And the same thing. When she says enough's enough, I give her the chair. When she goes someplace that you commonly go to, your favorite restaurant, churches, whatever, but it's a common place I go, okay? When I can go in and out 3 consecutive times without needing the wheelchair, we stop bringing the chair. It stays in the car. And the goal is to start entering and exiting public buildings, okay, that have sometimes with them, on addition to that activity level, I will have them once or twice a day start working. I like to break, when I do a walking program, I break my walking program into 3 levels: short, medium, and long walks. A short walk is room to room at the house. A long walk is their max tolerable distance. Okay? So I have them do a high frequency of short walks and 1 or 2 long walks a day to their max tolerable distance. Medium is somewhere in between, okay? And you're going to do 4 to 6 medium walks. So if a medium walk is actually walking out to the car, if I walk out to the car, walk into McDonald's because it wasn't very far, walk back out to the car, walk into the house, I've just done 4 medium walks, just for one single outing. So I tell them again, high frequency or short walks, 4 to 6 medium walks a day, and 1 or 2 long walks, which is their max tolerable distance. And that's how you can actually start to bump up that activity level. Okay? All right. Sweating. In addition to the drying stuff we've already talked about, you can use antiperspirant, not deodorant. You can do the combo deodorant antiperspirant, but it must have some antiperspirant to it. On a residual limb. The latest research shows that putting it on at night and letting it absorb in, don't do it if they're using lotion, but if they don't have dry skin, putting antiperspirant on at night, letting it absorb in, it tends to work better. But using an antiperspirant on the residual limb tends to help sweat control. Okay? They recommend not using anything that's strong that would break down the liners like Old Spice and Axe. But if what I use under my arm is not strong, I can use that on my residual limb to stop some of the sweating. If it's not working, Amy Coalition recommends Clint the Full Strength Secret. It's a little pricier, but tends to work better. I have some patients that sweat through that, and they have these little things called sweat block that are towelettes that they recommend you use at night. They tell you to start once a week, and if it doesn't work with once a week, do it twice a week. But generally do it it's a towelette that they rub on the leg once or twice a week at night. And it can actually, for someone, there is a prescription version of Drysol, which is a very expensive prescription from the doctor that you can put on for excessive sweating. If someone has, you never want to shave a residual limb. If someone has repeated fasciculitis, okay, and you go back and make sure they're managing the sweat and they're cleaning it properly, the residual limb properly, and the liners properly, and they're still getting fasciculitis, you can do laser hair removal. There is a plastic surgeon that owns a spa in Greensboro that will do it on residual limbs for free. But if you document enough fasciculitis, sometimes insurance will cover. If it's documented that it's a wound problem on it, but you don't want them shaving because that causes more skin problems, or using Nair or hair products like that. You actually want them to have laser hair removal if it tends to be an ongoing problem, and only if it's an ongoing problem, it's not necessary. And I learned this through one of my patients who has very hairy legs. It is painful for guys that are very, very late. He goes, never. I'm not doing that again. I'll retire that. If you are sitting with a liner in the knee bends, you can get a little bit of a friction rub on the patella. It usually is pinkish looking, and I've had them rubbed so much that it actually causes wounds. So with those, you can take a tiny bit of baby oil or mineral oil and put it on your fingertip, rub it on the patella, and come from the patella up as high as the liner goes with it. And it should be a shiny skin, but not a greasy, oily looking to your skin. And decreasing the friction right there at the knee will let you not get that friction rub when you're sitting for long periods. Okay? Socks. When we shrink on a transtibial amputation, the knee area is more bony than fluid and soft tissue than the distal limb. Okay? So when you put the socks on and they come up all the way, sometimes you get a hammock or a locking on the knee area and the bottom still feels like it's belling and moving in there. So you can take a prosthetic sock. I recommend one size because they're cheaper. But I haven't put it on the residual limb. I palpate to the distal part of the tibial plateau. I mark it with a line. I take the sock off, cut it at that line or just higher than it, okay? And you can use both sides of this cut-off sock. If you call it a cut-off, not a half-ply, because if you call it a half sock, they'll count it as half-ply and it still counts with the full thickness. This is a 5-ply sock, and if I cut this one, I would put a 5 down here so they know how thick it is, but it still counts as 5-ply. And if you put it on the distal limb just like you do, you don't want the outer layer to be a cut-off sock because sometimes it'll slide down and migrate. The outside layer should be a full-length sock, okay? Should not be a cut-off. It could be sandwiched between 2 layers or the innermost layer, but not the outermost layer for cut-off socks. You actually can take the top portion of this sock and they can put it on their thigh up at the top, and it actually works as a sweat wick and collects. If you have a lot of problems with skin irritation up at the top, because when the sweat comes up, it comes up the top of the socket and it irritates a lot of times right up here at the top. So if you put the top portion of this cut-off sock against your skin under the liner, it actually acts as a wicking sock, and you're not reducing the friction of the liner here, so it still suspends well. Changing shoes. Do you think these patients want to wear the same pair of shoes all day, every day? No. They need to change shoes. Number one thing, as you've heard it several times in this lecture, deviations with orthotic prosthetics, heel height. Heel sole differential. It has to be the same. You got to teach them about telling if it's the right size heel. If they put a lower on, you can put a heel wedge in there and compensate for it, but you can't go higher because it's going to buckle that knee out. Teach them to look at the top of the prosthetic foot. It should be parallel to the ground or level. I'll take a yardstick so they see the tilt and put it across the top of the foot and show them how this foot is made for. This one's level here, but if it's sitting back like this, that tells them that they put on too low of a heel, okay? But sitting like this is too high, and I let them look at the pipe and see where it's pushing their knee and talk about it. But the number one thing to change in shoes is heel height. Number two, you got to look at the compression of the heel. If they are used to walking in a shoe that has some compression, like a tennis shoe or athletic shoe, and you put them in a stiff-heeled shoe, it will bring that heel rocker down more rapidly and sometimes take their knee with it. So if they're going to be in a wedding, I had a guy that was going to walk his daughter down the aisle, and I said, please put your tuxedo shoes on, get the walker back out, get a feel of it, then take the walker away, walk around your house in the tuxedo shoes. He goes, why? I might scuff them. I was like, trust me, if you walk your daughter down the aisle in those tuxedo shoes, she is not going to be happy with you. He did. He came out the next time, and the wedding was like that weekend. He came back for a second appointment before the wedding, and he goes, thank God, that shoe doesn't walk right. And I was like, you don't say. I have had patients bring some shoes in, and we work in here. Okay, but it does. The other thing that makes a difference is the angle of the back of your shoe. see your shoes? No. I don't have as many shoes in it. Your shoes look really good. I'm looking for the back of your shoes. No, yours aren't right. Yours definitely are wrong. Exactly. All right. Sometimes, if you have a shoe on here, borrow your shoe. Okay, if you look at it from the side view, if you have a shoe that the heel angles like this, away from it, like a rocker bottom, almost, it starts to angle away. You gotta be careful if it's not a curve, but it's a sharp angle and they're not used to it. Women's shoes typically can see this a lot. But if it's angling away from it, it actually changes your initial contact point and throws them off a little bit. Doesn't mean you can't wear it, it just changes that initial contact point, okay? You want to look at the toe box. Those little pointy toe shoes that narrow, your prosthetic foot will not crunch. Good luck getting it on there.
Oh, we got people that wear them.
Yeah, but
Not
try your
today.
prosthetic foot in that shoe.
No.
It's hard. You can't get them in. So pointy toe shoes are difficult to get in. All right, looking at how much the forefoot covers. All right, so you have tennis shoes on, right? All right, borrow your shoe. All right, with this shoe, it comes down pretty good, but it doesn't tie. Okay, so it's still going to hold on pretty good. Okay, some patients, actually the lady, I went to ECU Tuesday of this week to do the gait lab. Same thing we did last week at ECU Tuesday for them. Okay, she actually has flip-flops. She has one of the ankles that will change. And she had on flip-flops, and she kept it on her foot by literally Velcroing it too. She had two pieces of Velcro, one on the bottom of the prosthesis and one here. She goes, yeah, it doesn't hurt the bottom of my foot at all. And I was like, I bet it doesn't. I know, and I had to do it. She Velcros it on. But if this is trimmed too much forward, it causes the heel to slip. Okay? Get away with it by putting on Velcro on your shoe if it's doing it. Or you can have somebody go to a shoe cobbler and put a very thin strap across it to hold it on. See? Or you can Velcro it on. Peer visits are great. Make sure, even, we call this pre-prosthetically, but even prosthetically, having someone help manage this and seeing it. We're having, the ankle support group I coordinated in Greensboro is having it tonight at game night, and I have at least 6 patients under my care right now coming to game night that have never been to a meeting yet. Because the next monthly meeting, because it's changed, the next monthly meeting is actually Thursday of next week. I give finals here, drive straight back to Greensboro, do the support group, and then fly to my daughter's wedding Friday. Insane. Next week. So I look stressed next week, you know why. It's going to be crazy. But I have a comment because it's that peer visit stuff. It has nothing to do with, do you think I really care about all these 6 coming to learn how to play bocce or cornhole or any of the other card games or board games we're playing? No, it's the socialization and the peer visit. It's not the games. It's the peer visit that they're going to get out of it. Okay? And that actually is what's driving almost everyone on to come and hang out with us. All right, training. We are going to start talking about how to teach patients to do these things. Okay? The first thing we're going to talk about is how to get symmetry. That's important because these patients are favoring one side and they're not symmetrical in their stance or their walk. Okay? We're going to talk about some dynamic balance activities and some stabilization activities. Symmetry. The center of gravity moves for patients with amputations. But what happens when I'm hopping around on one leg, because my left leg's been amputated for a long time, is I adduct my sound leg under my center of mass. Okay? And then when I get a prosthesis and I put it down, I don't ever take that sound limb out from under my center of mass. So I'm not standing symmetrical. So the first thing you want to do is work on that. We do a lot of visual stuff. We go to the sink, and Bob Gailey does a lot of this in some of the videos we're supposed to watch. But I like to do this at the sink. And I literally take a marker and I put it down in the very middle of the sink, okay, on the floor, a piece of tape, painter's tape, whatever. And I tell them when they first stand up, the first thing you gotta do is get your feet even off of that marker. Don't let your good leg be near it and the prosthesis kick out to the side. The first thing I want you to do is get your foundation right. The second thing you do is hold on to the sink, is think of your belly button has an arrow coming out of it. I want you to shift your hips until that belly button is aligned with the middle of the sink. Guess what I just did? I just got their pelvis and the dead center between their feet. And I got the foundation first. Now, and I say, all right, now feel where you are, okay? Just get a sense of what this feels like, because every time you stand still to do anything, pump gas, whatever it is you're standing still for, I want you to shift your hips, not your shoulders and upper body, and get directly over the center of both feet. I'm not asking you to stand over here on the prosthesis like this. I'm asking you to find middle. So if you are brushing your teeth and I find middle first, I might drift back away from the prosthesis, but if I start way over here on the prosthesis, you think I'm going to drift that way? No, but if I at least get them to find that midpoint, start brushing my teeth, and again, if I start to shift, it will happen, but what should happen is over time I stay more and more midline as I do it. But they got to find that midline point and know that they're not in that midpoint. We start doing some progressive weight shift activities. I actually have them shift to their sound side, freeze for 2 seconds and feel where you are. Don't look, feel the pressure and where does the pressure on my left leg feel like when I know I'm way over to the right, off of my prosthesis. Come back to the middle, stop in the middle. Stop for 2 seconds, where do you feel pressure? You don't have to tell me, just think about it. What does it feel like when you're in the middle? Now go to the left. Hold it for 2 seconds and tell me what it feels like when you're way left. Where's the pressures on your leg? I'm back to the middle. I hold on with 2 hands and doing this and stopping for 2 seconds at each point. Then I have them let go with the sound side hand, and hold on with the prosthetic side hand. Okay? The reason is if I want to use my hand for support, I got to stay that way. If I hold on with the other, I can avoid the other side altogether. So you hold on with the prosthetic side hand and do the same thing. And then you let go. If they're scared with balance or they don't have enough balance, they can hover over the sink. And every time you let go, it might be smaller movements, but they're still learning to go from right to midline to left to midline to back. Yes, sir.
How's like a stepping reaction work with somebody with a prosthesis?
The one reason I do it at the sink is because if they go backwards, if I go backwards at the counter, so the wheelchair is typically behind them, and the good thing about the sink is like having a bar. And people typically, and if my knees go to buckle, it's usually only so far they're going to go before they hit the counter, the cabinet. Okay? So it's an excellent way to give a controlled environment, which is why I like the sink with the wheelchair behind them. Plus they get tired, they sit down, they get back up and do the next one if they want. Okay? Same thing, but their stepping reaction is delayed, but you can work on that. Okay? I do it now, they're still facing this sink, but I'm doing a side view for you guys in the camera. Okay? They're facing the same direction. You figure out where flat foot is with my weight directly over it. Then I weight shift forward where I have more pressure on the toes. I'm not coming up on the toes. I'm coming forward with my pelvis. I counterbalance with my shoulders going back. I don't put both of them forward because it's just going to make me fall. So I figure out what it feels like my pressure forward on the toes, flat-footed, directly over it, on the heels, flat-footed. You're holding on with 2 hands, the prosthetic side hand, and no hands. And again, have them spend about 2 seconds at each location and start to feel where they are while they do that. You can also, when they're in bilateral stance, have them go from the heel of the right foot to the toe of the left and hold it. You can do it the other direction so that they learn to weight shift in a diagonal. Use the visual reference at the sink. Start with 2 hands. You can progress this by doing it with eyes closed. You can do it on compliant surfaces. You can can do it standing on a 2x4 or something like that to get a hip strategy going. You do again the side to side and the front to back weight shift and the diagonal, or you can do it at a step stance where my prosthetic is forward and I go from my right toe to my left heel for a baby shift, or I can do a bigger shift from the right heel to the left toe in this instance. Okay, and you can start to get the bigger weight shift. You can do it with the prosthesis forward and with the prosthesis back to work on weight shift. So a smaller one would be to go from the toe to the heel, close in, and then or from the heel to the toe further apart. Dynamic reactions. You want to work on them moving the prosthesis. Sometimes, a lot of times I'll do this in the pillow bars, but I want them to learn how to move it adduction, adduction. Why? If I misstep and want to correct it, and I don't have the balance to move the foot in or out, do you think it's going to change how I react? So actually just learning how to balance and touching the foot and seeing if I have the balance to move it. Okay? You can do it on both sides. Definitely harder to do it when you're standing on prosthesis, but they need to learn how to correct it. Upper extremity reaching activities. Have them work on reaching forward, overhead, laterally, across midline. Okay? Part of the home exercise program from Bob Gailey's is we will have non-breakable cups. We use cones in the clinic, but at home I tell them just don't use anything glass. And you put them on one side of the sink and move them to the other side across. I don't switch hands. I literally move them across midline. Okay, and I teach them to figure out that's the length of my arm to go a couple inches past your arm. Don't go the length of your arm. They do it first with the opposite hand. I do it with both hands, no matter which side. First with the opposite hand holding on, and I do it without holding on. If they're nervous, I'll let them hover near the sink. Okay? But it's a great way to work on some reaching. I actually have them ask them what's above their sink. If it's a window, they just tap the cone or the cup. If it's a cabinet, I have them open the cabinet and try and put things up on the upper shelves as high as they can. Again, non-breakable things, lightweight. You work on balance recovery, Nick, in the parallel bars. You work on their ability to balance. You push them and figure out how to get them to step with both legs. You work on step strategy the same way you would with some of your other patients too. You can have them stand on the foam beam, literally, and I have them go to reach forward, and I'm at the pelvis with the gate belt on one side and my hand on the pelvis, and when they get to what looks like the limits of their reach, I nudge their pelvis. Guess what's going to happen?
You take a step.
They're going to step to get off that little bit of a 2-inch ledge, okay? And if I want them to step with a certain foot, I nudge a certain direction. So if I nudge you that way, you're going to step left, right? Whereas if I nudge you this way, but again, I have them reach for something, and then I nudge them, and they're like, "You're funny, Robin." I do the same thing backwards and laterally, but I work on it. I'm in the bars, I'm like turn them sideways to the bar so they're facing the bar, and they're standing on the phone and they reach out, and I have them step with both feet to work on step strategy.
How does a multi-axis knee handle that like initial contact? I feel like that might be enough anterior translation that it might make it buckle.
You have to work on it. The forward step's not back, it's the back step.
Okay.
It's the back step landing on the toe.
Okay.
It's where you got to be careful. But it's like walking backwards. We're going to talk about in a minute. I'm going to teach you to talk about how to walk backwards with one of those knees.
Okay.
And it does make a difference. Okay? Stool stepping. This is a good one. This might be on a test. Okay. But if you take the stool and you put it in front of them, we're working on them standing on the prosthesis. Okay? What you want them to do is hold on it first. It's more about control. You want them to weight shift over the prosthesis, not weight out to the side like this. That's too far, right? I'm having them weight shift over the prosthesis so that my body weight's going through my left prosthesis. I hold on to the sink or the, whatever, the bars, and I step up with the right foot to the stool, and I'm tightening down my hip adductors and my stabilizers and my prosthetic side. Relax for a second on the stool, tighten up the muscles again, and step down slow and under control. In the prosthetic foot is like a tripod. It may need contact with the ground here, here, and here. Okay? So they actually can feel vibrations through this. So if you're touching them, move this leg, and I'm touching lightly. You think they can feel that? But if I did this, you think they can feel that?
Yep.
Do this way. Come on, this way. I'm not hurting them, okay? But if I'm standing on this left leg and they're stepping up with the right to the step, while they're stepping up, I take a reflex hammer, so I save my arm, and I tap this at a steady rate at the heel. They can feel as they're shifting up and down as they change the weight on the heel by my vibration. I tap the inside of the foot and have them step up and down. I tap the forefoot laterally, have them step up and down. And then sometimes I'll start, do 2 or 3. If I'm doing a rhythm to as they step up and down, they start to feel when they're doing different stuff, just load and unload it. And it's a great way to help with proprioception to know where they are in static stance when they're still stepping. Okay? Catching and throwing. Actually doing some chest passes or baseball throws or football throws. They're really good for balance and creating balance reactions of it. If they want to do it at home, if their spouse is behind them, they can have the walker in front of them, their spouse behind them, and they can throw the ball into a wall and catch it themselves so they don't, or get your grandson over there, okay? The further the ball throw is, the harder it is. So it takes more balance and more of me to throw it all the way to Nick than it does to throw it right here. Okay? So it's distance makes it how hard it is. Okay? But those are great ways. If you've seen the Zoom ball games, they're also called forward pass. It looks like a football or a swimming buoy on 2 ropes with handles. And literally you pull it apart, and I send the football to Nick. He pulls it apart and sends it back to me. And I'm like this when he sends it back. And then we stand them on a compliant surface or on the ground and get them to, if you got somebody in that flex posture and I'm trying to get them up, I will bring them up. I'm behind them and I get the tech over there. And it's really getting that upper body up. It's a really good activity. Lower extremity, you can do some rolling on balls. I typically start with tennis balls. If it's on a slick floor like this, I put a towel down so it doesn't roll away as easy. Okay? But literally, I have them roll the tennis ball with both legs, prosthesis, and with the sound side of standing on the prosthesis. I roll it front to back, switch legs, roll it front to back, roll it in and out, circles clockwise and counterclockwise, and it actually starts to work that balance on that side. TheraBand, I love working with TheraBand with my patients, upper extremity wise. This is not about strengthening their arms. I had this to a patient the other day. I gave him red, which is the color system we use for TheraBand, is level 2. TheraBand can be increased by difficulty by the 5 color systems that they sold by the manufacturer, and distance, length of them. The longer it is, the less resistance to some of them that's shortened to this much. Okay? So this guy was amazed, but you can actually stand behind them or have them attached to something solid and they can punch out. For chest presses, alternating arms, bilateral, after they've done some of them. And don't let the band yank you back. You have to stay here as it's coming back. I can attach it to something in front of me and do rows, and then do bilateral rows. Okay, I can stand on it. I can start with just bicep curls, and I can go from bicep curl to an overhead press. Okay, all of them, it's not about the arm stuff, guys. Keep it light, especially for somebody with shoulder problems. It's about stabilizing while you're standing or doing this. It is more about core and balance than it is about anything you're doing with the arms for strengthening, okay? You can actually also do it with lower extremities. You can do it on both sides. You can have them kick out into abduction, extension, flexion, adduction. Put it on both sides. When you put it on the prosthetic side, move the band up to a height that it's right at the distal socket. Instead of having it at a height that it's here, move it here, because sometimes you'll fulcrum the prosthesis and irritate the distal limb. So if you put the band more here, same thing if you're doing weight machines. You have to do a knee extension or knee flexion machine at the gym. It's set for short, medium, long, extra long. You know how the thing can go. Even if they're long, bring it up to short. So because that plate's right here, you're less likely to irritate the bone with fulcrum. Okay? You can do all kinds of weights like that. Just move it up. And if they're doing weight training, if they're doing sitting, make sure they're not doing like a lat pull like this, where their prosthesis is jacked out to the side. Make sure they understand how to sit symmetrically and upright. Reduce the weight if you have to keep good posture and good technique. Do not let them do chest work or arm work and they're not sitting even on their pelvis on their tongue. Okay? We are going to take a 10-minute break here for our last hour. Where am I on the spot? On the